It was a surprise to everyone. Fantasia Barrino almost lost everything when she was at the top of her game. She had a powerful voice that captivated millions of people and a job that most people could only dream of. The American Idol winner shocked everyone in 2010 when she tried to kill herself because she was stressed out from fame, money problems, and constant attention. It was a sad moment that could have been the end of her story, but instead, it was the start of one of the most amazing changes in the history of entertainment. Barrino didn't just make it through, she came out of it stronger, smarter, and more driven than ever to get her life back. So how did she turn sorrow into victory? What will happen next with the star who almost lost everything? Let's see how dramatically she changes. Lucky for Fantasia Barrino, she discovered her musical ability early on. At the time, she had no idea that she would one day become a professional singer. Since she was 5 years old, her father, Joseph Barrino, knew she had a beautiful voice and pushed her to sing at family events, weddings, and even funerals. Fantasia grew up in a very religious home where church music was always playing. Both her mother and grandma were ministers, and they had a big impact on her love of singing, especially in church. It became clear that she had a very special gift as she continued to work on her singing. Fantasia had a moment that changed everything when she was only 9 years old. A woman was moved to tears by her performance, and the woman told young Fantasia that her voice had touched her. Fantasia will never forget this touching response, which made her believe even more in what her mother had always told her, that her ability was a gift from God. The early years of Fantasia Barrino were full of both good things and bad things. As a child in North Carolina, she was always around singing because her family had a gospel group called the Barrino family. Although these events shaped her into the powerful singer she would become, they also meant that she spent a lot of her time traveling and missed a lot of school. She was having a hard time keeping up in school and sometimes felt alone because she was having trouble. Barrino talked about her problems with self-confidence in an interview with the Oprah magazine. She felt different from other kids a lot of the time, and being teased about how she looked hurt her self-image a lot. It was hard for her to see her own beauty and worth because of the mean comments about her looks and the normal fears of being a teenager. She talked about being self-conscious about her body, especially when she was a teenager, which made her problems even worse. When something scary happened that made her feel unsafe, high school got even harder. However, going back to school was too much for her, even though her mother helped her deal with the situation. With all the stress and fear she was under, it was hard for her to concentrate on her schoolwork. In the end, the mental cost was too high. And when Barrino was about 14, he made the hard choice to stop going to school. Soon, she was living by herself in a small apartment in an area with few wealthy people. She had to become an adult a lot sooner than most of her friends. It was 17 years old when Fantasia Barrino had her first child. Life got even harder for Fantasia Barrino after she dropped out of high school. She moved into a small room with the goal of making her life more stable. But being independent at such a young age wasn't easy in real life. She soon got a boyfriend who moved in with her, but the relationship made things worse instead of better. Later, Barrino talked about how she wasn't treated well, which made her problems even worse. Barrino got pregnant with her daughter Zion when she was 17. It was a turning point in her life that brought her both happiness and trouble. Someone told the Oprah magazine, that Fantasia Barrino thought she had reached the bottom by the time her daughter Zion was 2 years old. I had given up on myself. In an interview with the Oprah magazine, she said it. Life had been hard all the time, and she began to believe the worries that other people had about her. Then something changed. Watching Ruben stuttered while watching American Idol made her angry. She saw in him a dream that she still thought was possible. Barrino decided to take a chance on herself, so she took her brother's car and filled up the gas just enough to get to Atlanta for the American Idol auditions. The trip was dangerous, but she was ready to risk everything on her skill. She made it through the first round, but the doors were locked when she got to the second round. It might have been the end of the road, but she didn't walk away. Instead, she prayed. Lucky for her, a security guard who had talked to her the day before remembered her and helped her find an American Idol helper who let her in. The chances were against Barrino, but she got her chance. Out of more than 40,000 people, I was the last one to try out, she said later. Everything changed at that time. Barrino won over millions of hearts with her strong voice and honest feelings when she was only 19 years old. People thought that her vote count might go down after they found out she was a single mom, but she never let the criticism get to her. Instead, the reaction made her more determined. She came out on top, showing everyone and herself that she was meant to do great things. She told MTV News, "I'm a strong woman now. I fought so the best could happen to my child." When Fantasia Barrino won American Idol in 2004, it changed her life. She then chose to write an autobiography to share her powerful story with the world. When it came out in 2005, Life is Not a Fairy Tale quickly became a bestseller. Readers could relate to Barrino's story of determination and success. The New York Post said that the book was another important step in her work and showed that she had an impact on fields other than music. After Life is Not a Fairy Tale did well, she was given an even better chance, the chance to make her story come to life on screen. The story by Fantasia Barrino, called Life is Not a Fairy Tale, made its debut on TV in 2006. Barrino played the lead part. An amazing 19 million people watched the movie, which clearly captivated them. It was then nominated for the 2007 NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Television Movie, Miniseries, or Dramatic Special. Barrino, meanwhile, was nominated for Outstanding Actress in a Television Movie, Miniseries, or Dramatic Special, which is a huge accomplishment for someone who is just starting to act. Taking on the job wasn't just a challenge for work, though. It was also a challenge for my emotions. Barrino had to go through some of the hardest times in her life all over again by playing out some of the worst parts of it. She had to deal with poverty, self-doubt, and other problems. In an interview with the Washington Post, she said, "It's really tougher than it seems. Even though the project was very emotional, Barrino gave a moving performance that showed her talent went beyond music. Millions of people were inspired by her book and movie, which showed that with faith and drive, it was possible to get through hard times." Before she was in the Fantasia Barrino story, Fantasia Barrino had a few small guest parts. But life isn't a fairy tale. Her role in the movie gave her more chances to work as an actress. In just a few years, she went from being a single mother who was having a hard time to a famous recording artist, best-selling author, actress, and finally a Broadway star. Barrino hit a new high point in 2007 when she was cast as Celie in The Color Purple on Broadway. Playbill said that she was the first American Idol winner to ever have a role on Broadway. This part was very important to Barrino. It was her goal to clear up the lies and give people an honest look at what was really going on in her life. As she told the Futon critic, the show did more than just fix things. It gave her a chance to take back control of her story, showing fans the ups and downs of fame, family, and finding forgiveness for themselves. Barrino let the world follow her trip through the series, not just as an entertainer, but also as a woman who was determined to take back her power. The year her reality show, Fantasia for Real, came out, 2010, was also the year Fantasia Barrino hit rock bottom emotionally. The stress of fame, personal problems, and constant media attention finally got to them. At the center of the storm was the widely reported claim that she had been seeing a married guy, which led to a lot of negative press and gossip. All of it became too much for Barrino to handle, and in August of that year, she tried to kill herself by taking too many sleeping pills and aspirin. Afterward, Barrino talked about the event that caused her to overdose in an interview with Good Morning America on ABC News. She said, "It was just 6 years of everything. I held all that stuff inside and didn't let it out." She said she was mentally, emotionally, and spiritually worn out. She said, "I got really, really tired." She felt trapped and unable to leave because she had to constantly prove herself while being judged harshly by everyone. After many years, Barrino felt terrible when he thought about that dark time. During an appearance on The Real in 2019, she made it clear that her actions weren't exactly an attempt to end her life, but rather a way to get away from all the noise. She said, "I just wanted to be away from all the noise." When she thought about it, she said that moment would be the one thing she would change about her past. She admitted, "I would change that." She knew there were better ways to deal with her pain. Fantasia Barrino's attempt on her life was one of the worst times, but she was determined not to let it define her. Instead, she chose to rebuild her happiness from the inside out again. Making a promise to herself was one of the most personal and one-of-a-kind things she did to do this. Barrino said on the 2017 episode of Harry Connick Jr. at S Talk Show, Harry, that she had married herself as a way to love herself and heal. She admitted it was crazy, but the act had a deep meaning for her. Barrino said, "I felt like I had to learn how to love myself again before I could find true love." She understood that she had put other people's needs ahead of her own for years, ignoring her own emotional and spiritual health. She took steps to care for herself and accept herself after realizing this, making sure she wasn't pouring from an empty cup anymore. Her faith as a Christian was very important in this change. Barrino relied on her values to help her and keep her strong, letting her faith keep her grounded when things get hard. She also worked hard to stop bad habits and let go of bad feelings. She stressed how dedicated she was to her own growth by saying, "I made up my mind to fast from all the things I used to do." She married Kendall Taylor in 2015, which was her second marriage. This time, unlike the symbolic promise she made to herself years before, it was a formal union. Although they had only known each other for 3 weeks, Barrino and Taylor got married in amazing speed. Even though they only dated for a short time, Barrino was sure of her choice. People admire Taylor's strength and change. He used to be in prison, but changed his life and became a wealthy businessman. Barrino was thrilled, but her public words about marriage caused a stir. In an interview on The Breakfast Club, she talked about how she thinks women should obey their husbands and how many relationships fail because women try to be in charge instead of letting their men. She told them, let your man lead the way. She said,